Welcome back to This Week in High School Sports. We're hanging out in Mountlake Terrace today at our show sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, and with us the owner, Sean Richards. Sean, people think of Red Onion Burgers and they think obviously burgers, it's in the name, shakes, fries, other things, but you're so much more than that.
We are. We offer barbecue ribs, our world famous red Cobb salad.
Ooh.
With turkey and ham.
Healthy options, I like it.
Healthy options, and we also offer paninis, fresh fruit, and smoothies, and so much more. So come on by.
21005 44th Avenue, Mountlake Terrace.
Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. Steve, we are at a point where we're getting to the end of the season.
Yeah, not a lot of teams to talk about right now.
No.
It's the winter season is winding down. We only had 2 basketball teams left this weekend. We're only going to have one to talk about next weekend, and then we head into the spring sports season. So it's gone quick, hasn't it?
It has, and we're hoping for some better weather. We always talk about that, but it has been a little chilly lately. So.
Yeah, you don't want to be playing softball, baseball, tennis, or any of the other sports in the snow. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we're going to start out with Lynnwood girls.
We are. The Lynnwood girls basketball team made it through the district tournament, and they went to regionals. Unfortunately for them, they dropped a tough game against Stanwood over the weekend, 80-60. But nonetheless, a Lynnwood team that wasn't expected to go as far as they did. They pull off 15 wins this year, and when you start to look at some of the players who have come through that program and graduated over the last few years, as well as some of the injuries they had this year, really nothing for them to hold their heads down about. They should be very proud of what they've accomplished. So to put a nice bow on their season, we brought 2 of their senior players in to talk about the accomplishments and to talk about the season as a whole. Here is the conversation we had with Abby and Rachel. Is regional high school basketball weekend, and joining us, the only girls basketball team left playing into this weekend, at least from the Edmonds School District, the Lynnwood Royals. And with us, 2 of the seniors on that team, Abby Douglas, Rachel Walsh. Ladies, first of all, congratulations on getting to regionals.
Thank you.
We're kind of calling you the Cinderella team, the team that wasn't really supposed to be here. They weren't invited to the ball, and yet somehow you surprised everybody. Going into district play, I think everybody assumed it was going to be Snohomish, Stanwood, and Edmonds Woodway coming out of our region. And yet here we are talking to Lynnwood. And I know your season ended on a tough note yesterday against Stanwood, 80-60. But nonetheless, Abby, you made it this far. Tell me a little bit about what it means to have gotten to regionals this year.
It's so gratifying going because throughout high school I've had different roles on every single year, and so being like a starter and a senior and more of a leadership role, it's definitely a lot of fun, like with the girls, and we just worked so hard. It paid off, and it was awesome.
And Rachel, for you, your sister Riley obviously playing before you. You've been on this team for 3 years now as well. You've seen this team go to a state championship and win it. You've seen them take 3rd at state. In some ways, with the loss of some of the key players you've had over the last few years to graduation, and also injuries this year to Val and to Kia, in some ways, is it just as gratifying to have gotten this far this year?
Yeah, definitely just as gratifying, maybe even more, just because you have that aspect of everybody saying you can't do it, and then when you still make it to state, top 16 isn't too bad.
No, not at all. Let's talk about the run a little bit. You get to district play. You're the number 7 seed going into districts. I know it's unfamiliar territory for Lynnwood, right? You're the number 7 seed. Top 3 teams are going to move on to the regionals where you were this weekend. Double elimination tournament. You've got Edmonds Woodway in the very first round, a team that beat you by 24 points during the regular season, a team that was 18-2 going into that game. And Abby, all of a sudden you sneak up and you get them that first time. What was that like?
It was such a fun game because we've played against these girls for a long time, ever since we were little, and I think that getting the matchup, we definitely came into the tournament knowing we have nothing to lose at this point. No one expects us to win this game, so just play loose, have fun. I think that played a big part in our maturity throughout the district tournament, that type of thing.
And it got you into the district semifinals where, unfortunately, you stubbed your toe a little bit, Rachel, against Shorecrest.
Yeah.
Put you into the consolation round at that point. You still had to win 2 more games, and I think even a lot of the pundits, the experts, if you will, thought, okay, well, nice run for Lynnwood. They're probably done now. They're going to go into the consolation and get knocked out. And then you go through Arlington and Edmonds Woodway again. Yeah. Second time you beat both of those teams, both of which, again, had beaten you during the first part of the regular season. Talk about those games a little bit and maybe what the mindset was going into the consolations.
Yeah, Shorecrest, just a tough matchup for us. we thought we could probably get it if we had a really good game, but we just didn't have that game. So then consolation, we knew we had to, like, both those games were loser out. And so once again, going in, all the pressure is on those teams. They beat us in the regular season, so everybody's expecting them to win. So I kind of liked our position this year, just like coming out of the shadows and just beating teams. And for Arlington, I mean, they were missing a big player, Peyton Brown, but we played really hard that night. And at the beginning of the game, we went on a really big run and just got the lead and pretty much secured it for the rest of the game. I think it got tied. They might have got up by 2, but that's one of those games where we just kept our composure, and we didn't really see that until the postseason. And then the second time we played Lynnwood, all the pressure's on them again. I mean, they lost to us one time in district, so they better not let it happen again, you know. And beating them once, it could be a fluke, but beating them twice, we really beat them.
So it was gratifying there.
It was really gratifying.
In some ways, though, do you get a little concerned because that also fires a team up when you beat them the first time around
Yeah.
in districts? You know you're going to get their best game. You're
little bit.
you're not flying under the radar at that point, right?
Exactly.
Was that talked about going into that game at all? Or?
Yeah, they definitely had a reason for revenge, you know, but it was really gratifying. I mean, just to beat them 2 times in a row, that's probably one of my favorite moments of the season, was beating Lynnwood.
As well it should be. Again, tough regional game against Stanwood, but it's worth talking about. That's a team that has 4 girls, seniors, who are going to be playing college basketball next year. I know 3 of them at least are going to be playing at 4-year schools, maybe the 4th. A very loaded team offensively, a team that's always tough to beat. And yet, Abby, you guys hung out around with them for the first at least 2 quarters. It was almost a tie with about 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. Talk about the effort that your team had over the weekend.
We came into the game knowing that we could definitely get a dub, but we worked really hard at practice leading up, had some game plans, some things ready to go, and they're just a tough matchup for us, just like Shorecrest. They can shoot on the outside, they have really strong inside game, and even just those like 15-foot range, like they're really solid there, and so we just have to play really solid all-around defense, and we were really intense that night. We knew it was a do-or-die game, and came out there, and we just had a lot of fun.
And Rachel, what was the mood like afterwards? I mean, the fact that a lot of these girls are the season's over for you seniors, you're done at Lynnwood. I mean, was everybody able to appreciate at the moment what they'd accomplished this year? Or what?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you realize you just put your jersey on for the last time, and then in the locker room you're just kind of sitting there and the tears just kind of fall because it's just so, like, you start just looking back at everything and how fast it was. And we just looked at the sophomores and we're like, 2 years are just going to fly by. Like, honestly, just, like, take everything with a grain of salt. Like, just have fun at every practice. Like, it goes by really fast.
It goes by very quickly. I've got bad news for you, 2 ladies. Once you become adults, it goes by even quicker. So, as far as looking back on the season, favorite moment maybe on the court first? Rachel, would you have a favorite moment?
I would say probably beating Lynnwood the second time. I was just really proud of our team.
The game that clinched the spot into regionals.
That showed a lot about our character, I think.
And what about you, Abby? Do you have a favorite moment from?
I think both beating Arlington and Woodway for the second time, just because they were loser-out games and just like the pressure and the atmosphere. Student sections are crazy, bands are crazy, and just getting there and like powering through it and getting those wins was really big.
How about a favorite moment during the season off the court? I understand there's been some shenanigans that take place, maybe even involving Coach Brandon Newby. Abby, you have any?
We have a lot of team bondings and we get together a lot, and we kind of have this tradition where we get the coach's house every year with like we put cereal in their lawn, fork their lawn, and saran wrap like their railings in their car and that type of thing, and just a little fun thing, and we do it really late at night and stuff, and so we did that as a team. But
Now, Brandon Newby's new to the program this year. He's a graduate of Lynnwood, but this is his first year coaching. Rachel, did he know that this was coming?
No, not at all.
So this is new to him.
The next day at practice, actually, he just didn't bring it up at all, and we weren't sure whether it was his house or not, because actually my mom looked him up and to find his address, and so we weren't really sure it was his house, and we thought that was his car in the driveway, so we were like, I mean, 50-50, we'll take that chance, right? So then the next day at practice, he was quiet about it, and he made us run, so we kind of thought he was mad, so I was kind of like, hey, Coach, I don't know if he woke up to anything this morning, and he was like, okay, so it was you guys.
Oh, so
And
you
then-
let
and
the
then
cat
it
out of
was
the bag
fun.
yourself then?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was afraid that that's why he was making us run. So,
What, did he say
He
anything
got
about
us.
that? Was it,
yeah, he wasn't expecting it, but he said his wife was a cheerleader in high school, and that they did that all the time to their coaches, so she kind of expected
she
it
was
to be
ready
our
for it?
team. Yeah.
And Brent Hudson, the coach last year, he didn't get the treatment though, right?
No.
But Everett Edwards before him?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
definitely.
Well, Everett's
Many
girls were on the
times.
team too. So did the girls help you? With that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they were accomplices in their own house
Yeah.
being targeted. Okay, very interesting. And how about a favorite high school career as far as basketball? I mean, again, you were both freshmen on that team that went and won state back 3 years ago. Third place your sophomore year. You get to the Tacoma Dome last year. Is there a favorite moment, or is it just all around the Tacoma Dome memories per se, Abby?
We have our sponsor every year at state had been the same guy. His name's John, and he has a restaurant by the dome. And I think my favorite moments are going to his restaurant. All of our families there. There's a photo booth, and just kind of just enjoying each other's company and that type of thing. It just really makes it all worth it. And it's a game, and there's a family there, and it's a lot of fun memories.
And Rachel, what about you? Do you have a favorite moment per se?
It's really cool being there just with your team. I think it was extra special when my sister was on the team. And my birthday's March 4th, so every year I'm at state for my birthday, so it just makes it like Christmas for me, it's one of the best times of the year. And I'd just say overall, just going to the Tacoma Dome, the lights shining on you and everything, even just a 9 a.m. game, we barely have a student section. It's really nice, to just be there and just soak it all in.
So a lot of
Yeah.
memories made. We should mention too, you were both at the games your freshman year, right? But weren't
Yeah.
actually playing on the team, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd practice with them and fill up their water bottles. That was our role.
Hey, you got to be in the dome, so why
True.
not? And now that the season's over, what does the future hold for both of you? I know, Abby, we had you on the show a few months ago when you were on the volleyball team, and you talked a lot about your golf career. I'm guessing you're getting ready for golf now.
Yeah, so I actually have a golf lesson after this, but next year I'll be playing golf at Whitworth University in Spokane.
Okay, and before you get to Whitworth, how is the Lynnwood team looking this year?
The Lynnwood team, we have so much fun. The girls that come out don't necessarily have a lot of experience, but we're used to that, and we just get out there. We have a lot of fun, and we do a lot of team bondings and that type of thing.
Very good. And then Rachel, for you, I know you've played tennis in the past. Is that
Yeah.
is that coming up in the spring, or are you going to take a little time off?
I'm taking a little time off this year. I want to spend time with the people I love before I leave next year. So, yeah.
And just be a senior. And do we have any idea where we might be heading next year?
Yeah, I was planning on going to a 4-year, but now that I was in my last season of basketball, I kind of realized that I'm not quite ready to leave yet. So I'm talking to a couple community colleges, see
Okay.
if I can play there.
And I know last year when we had you and your sister Riley on the show, we talked about Piper,
Yeah,
your youngest
Yeah.
sibling, right?
yeah, she just turned 3 in November.
Okay, so was she at the games this year, supporting Lynnwood all throughout the
Yeah,
year?
most of them, she was there.
So perhaps if we're doing this video show in 14 or 15 years, maybe Piper's
For sure.
a Lynnwood Royal.
Yeah.
So we've had plenty of Douglases and Walshes. Maybe we're not done yet. Abby, are you the youngest?
No, I have a little sister in 7th grade,
Okay,
so she'll
so-
be there pretty soon.
Okay, so we're certainly not done with Douglases or Walshes, hopefully at Lynnwood. And then finally, Abby, we're going to go ahead and present you with our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week shirt, since we only had one team going this week, and I know Rachel already has one of these. Maya and Nakia have one as well, so we're going to have you hold that up in front of the camera there. So for your 4 years, getting to the Dome a few different times and being a part of this team and being a vital part of a team that won 15 games this year. So again, great accomplishment from both of you. Congratulations on two very successful basketball careers at Lynnwood, and hopefully the best is yet to come for both of you.
Thank you, Steve.
That Lynnwood team has been such a powerhouse over the years, and great to see the attitude of those girls, even in defeat. They really are very positive.
Yeah, and why not? Again, it was kind of their time to shine this year. And when you look at the Michaela Pivics and the Jordan Edwards and some of the other players, Kelsey Rogers, who's having a fantastic year up at Western, and when you lose that many star players, it's hard to keep it up and to keep that tradition alive. And certainly these girls have done nothing to diminish anything that's been taking place at Lynnwood over the last few years. And oh, by the way, a couple of their best players right now, Amaya Kirkman, Nakia Boston, both stepping up and playing huge roles this year for that team. Both are only sophomores, so I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Lynnwood next year as well.
I think you're right, yeah. And speaking of some amazing citizens of the basketball world, we have Mountlake Terrace boys.
We do, a team that, unfortunately for them, they lost their regional game this weekend. Also, They took on Mark Morris down in Chehalis. Mark Morris is a team from Longview, but they went down and played in a neutral site. And the other thing to talk about with Mountlake Terrace is that since they were ranked in the top 8 in the state, their regional game was not a loser-out game. So they've still punched their ticket for the Yakima Sundome. They'll be heading off to play in that tournament starting on Wednesday night. So we thought we better bring a couple of their guys in too to talk about their season and the upcoming trip to Yakima. So here's a conversation we had with Brendan and Keegan. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks boys basketball team just got done competing in the regional playoffs for the state tournament. Good news, bad news. Start off with the bad news. They unfortunately drop a game to Mark Morris, 66-48 over the weekend. The good news, however, is that they were ranked in the top 8 in the state going into the tournament, which means they've already punched their ticket for the Yakima Sundome and the state championship tournament coming up this week. And with us right now, 2 of the seniors on that team, Keegan, Grayson-Zehrung, and Brendan Hayes. And guys, before we talk about Mark Morris and the weekend, need to shed a little light on the season as a whole. I know we had both of you guys in here back in December, early in the year, but some of the accomplishments you guys have put forth this season, unbelievable. Really well done. 22-3 overall in the year. You're a 2A school playing in a 3A conference. You're the only 2A school, and yet you guys take first place in Wesco with an 11-1 league record. Keegan, I'll start with you. I mean, this is a team that we expected big things from this year, but maybe a Wesco 3A title was beyond what a lot of us were expecting. Talk about the season as a whole.
The season was an interesting one. We started off really hot and then took a devastating loss to Shorecrest. We bounced back, though, won a couple games in a row, got on a roll again, and we made it to districts. We ended up first place in Wesco. That was really cool. We won the Wesco.
We should talk about that too. You went 19-1 through your first 20 games, your regular season, and you essentially won the championship or the Wesco title the final night of the season. What was that like for you?
Oh, that was just so awesome. Go up and into Marysville's gym, packed house Friday night, just the atmosphere you'd love to play in, and got the dub. So. And
Brendan, for the team, Keegan touched on it a little bit, but you had to beat Marysville Pilchuck that night. You were also kind of scoreboard watching after the game as Stanwood needed to defeat Shorecrest to give you guys the outright championship. What was the moment like when you guys realized that, hey, we just took first place in a 13 league conference?
I mean, we were all just sitting there together. I think it might have been in the next morning, and we realized, we look at our phones, and then that Shorecrest had lost to Stanwood, and we all jumped out of our seats and we were cheering and stuff. We had realized that we I think won the championship, and we were really happy.
When you guys had set forth your goals going into the year, was that one of them? I mean, obviously, again, I think you guys were picked 3rd or 4th place in the coaches poll that ran in the Everett Herald earlier in the season before the season started. Had you guys ever talked about maybe winning a Wesco title, Keegan?
We set goals in the beginning of the season, and goals that will lead us up to state. And one of the goals was winning districts. Another goal would be winning Wesco, winning or making it to regionals, stuff like that. But yeah, that is definitely one of our goals. So
it was definitely on the radar. And then you go into district play, double elimination tournament, top 3 teams making it out. And you had a little bit of a toe stub on the first game, if you will, Brendan. You guys are up by 14 against Cedar Woolley going into the final quarter. They come back, they put themselves in a position to win, and then a miraculous 25-footer at the buzzer to beat you guys, which not only is that a tough way to lose a game, but then it puts you into a consolation bracket to where you are required to win 2 loser-out games just to have a shot at going to the regionals and to getting where you're at now. What was it like to try to regroup that night and to get ready for the consolation bracket after the loss?
I mean, it was obviously pretty devastating. We were all just really down. But Coach Sue kind of pulled us all together in the locker room, and instead of yelling at all of us, he kind of brought us all together and told us this has happened before in Terrace history, but you have to realize what's on your jersey, and you have to just get down to it and know that you guys can win 3 games and put yourselves into a position where you can make something happen. And that's what we did.
So you get into the consolation bracket. You defeat Lakewood for the first game. The second one was the tough one. That's Anacortes. That's the team that was ranked number 1 in the state going into the district tournament. They also had lost a game prior to that, so they had to go into the consolation bracket. Kind of the battle of the big time teams there, Keegan, and one of you is going home that night. Walk us through that game. What was the mentality going into the game, and what was it like, and what was the atmosphere like in the building for that matter?
Oh, first off, the atmosphere was unbelievable. Mount Vernon has a beautiful gym, and so the stands were packed. The game was, we knew that we were going to have to play an A game no matter what, because they're an A team. They're the best team. So going into the game, we after we beat Lakewood, we knew that we just had to take it one game at a time. All our focus was on Anacortes. Sure, we looked ahead a little bit just to see who we'd play, but we had to beat Anacortes, and I know the intensity was there. The atmosphere was just great. It was a fun game to play.
Brendan, as far as beating Anacortes, where does that rank in your list of accomplishments for your career at Mountlake Terrace so far?
Very high. It was kind of nice to see like all those people like shocked almost, and like the Anacortes parents were like making all these excuses and stuff like that. But it was really nice to just, I don't know, take down the team that was supposed to beat us, I guess.
We should mention, too, the two of you went off against each other in the district championship last year, a game that Anacortes won. So in some ways, Keegan, did that make this one that much more gratifying?
Yeah, you always want to get revenge. I mean, revenge is best served.
Especially when you're knocking a team out of the playoffs, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You'll definitely take that. So again, we can talk about this on a little bit of a lighter note because you are going to the Sundome next week, but you did have a regional game this week, one that if you had won, you would have been able to advance past the first round. You would have had a bye into Thursday. Instead, you lose to Mark Morris, and now you have to play on Wednesday. I guess the obvious question, Brendan, what exactly happened over the weekend, and what do you guys need to do to fix it?
I just don't believe we played our best, to be honest, and there was a lot of things that we could have done in the game. And then this Sunday, like tonight, we'll be looking like at tape and stuff of how we can improve that, and we'll definitely be implementing that into our next game when we go to Yakima.
Keegan, you guys got off to a little bit of a rough start over the weekend. I know Mark Morris was up 14-0 at one point. You cut the deficit down to 6 at one point in the third quarter, and I think that kind of speaks to the character of this Mountlake Terrace team, right? This is a team that never really views itself as being out. They're always trying to fight back into things. In some ways, can you take some positives out of that over the weekend and know that, hey, we did show some resiliency at one point during the game, and we can take that into Yakima next week?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, starting down 14-0 against one of the better teams in the state and then cutting the lead down to 6, that I feel like that gave us some momentum going into the fourth quarter, but we just lost it. I think that it shows who we are. It shows who Terrace is, and that we're always going to fight and we're never going to give up.
Never give up, indeed. Again, losing to Cedar-Woolley in the first round of districts, you have to fight back after that. You come back with 3 straight wins. Perhaps a theme here now that you lost to Mark Morris. We can maybe get something going on into the week. That's the nice thing about the state tournament. Everybody is 0-0 going into it. Going back to the Dome this week, your second consecutive year. Brendan, does it make it easier when you've already been there once and you kind of know what to expect, or is it still just as nervous going into a state tournament as it would be year one?
I would say that year one was probably definitely a lot more nerve-wracking just because you've never been in that situation before. But then again, the environment that the Dome holds, like just how big it is and like how intense that sometimes it can feel when you're playing there. But in all, you just have to go play basketball.
Keegan, what is it like to play in the Dome? I mean, obviously, it's, we hear the old joke from the Hoosiers movie. It's still a 10-foot hoop. It's still 15 feet to the free throw line. But does it have a different feel when you step out on that court?
I mean, you never really get to experience a game like that because you're always playing in a really smaller gym, and you don't really get to feel that atmosphere and that environment. So, yeah, it's a little different. But, I mean, still, you just got to go play basketball.
So last year, you guys get to the Yakima Sundome. You lose to North Kitsap 9 a.m. in the morning on a Wednesday. This year, you get to play Liberty at 7:15 at night. Brendan, a little more in your element now, playing in the evening as opposed to playing at 9 a.m. in the morning. What was that like? You guys aren't used to getting up that early to play basketball, are you?
Yeah, I remember Coach Sood waking us all up, slamming on the doors at like 6:30 in the morning. I was way too tired for that.
I think the score was like 6-5 at the end of the first quarter, so perhaps both teams' offenses were struggling to find themselves awake in the morning. Keegan, does it matter to you what time you play a basketball game at, whether it's 9 a.m. or 7:15? Just happy to play?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm always happy to play. I mean, as for the team, I think it'd be better if we played later in the day. But, I mean, if we have to play at 9 a.m., we'll do it.
Well, fortunately, you don't in this case, so it's very nice. And you're playing Liberty, a team that is also from this district, a team you didn't see during the regular season head-to-head, but a team that you did get a chance to watch, right, Keegan?
Yeah, we watched them in the district championship against Linden.
And I know it's still Sunday late morning here right now, but in terms of getting ready to scout them, you'll do a lot more of that over the next couple days. Do you know anything about them at this point, or is that still yet to come?
We know a couple things. They have a couple good guards, and they have good wings. That's about it. We just know their personnel a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brendan, what are you expecting out of your team on Wednesday? A bounce back game at that? Are you guys a little more fired up after the Mark Morris loss, do you think?
Yeah, I would say so.
Very nice. And then as far as going over, do we know the itinerary yet? Obviously, Wednesday evening game, going to Yakima. Is that something that's yet to be determined, or are you guessing that you'll probably go over Tuesday night to get prepared?
Yeah, we'll probably go over Tuesday night. It's not definite yet, but most likely Tuesday night.
Okay, and the goal, as we talked about with you guys a couple months ago, March 3rd, right? Hopefully a few victories, and you're playing into Saturday. So again, it's a loser-out game on Wednesday. If you win that game, you'll play Foss on Thursday night, and then you're in the quarterfinals, so that would be double elimination. So we're hoping that you guys are playing all the way through Saturday. Regardless, whatever happens, you're going back to the Yakima Sun Dome 2 consecutive years, and I've got to think for 2 seniors, that's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah.
They will take it. And oh, by the way, before we sign off today, Brendan Hayes, we're going to give you our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week shirt. You scored 15 points over the weekend, and this is kind of a long time coming. We almost gave this to you one other time this year, but I think we had a swimmer set a district record at the time, and I know you've had a few games this year where you've had close to 10 blocks. Again, 15 points this game. I'm going to have you hold up that shirt there. So great season from both of you. So we've got an Action Jackson moment here, and we've got 2 players who are going on to the Yakima Sun Dome. Keegan, best of luck to you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great year, and we'll see what the Hawks can do on Wednesday over at the Yakima Sun Dome.
Well, good luck to the Hawks. I look forward to seeing what they do.
I do too. This is a team that could go in a couple of different directions. It wouldn't surprise me if they were able to play all the way into Saturday and maybe have a chance to win a state championship. Also wouldn't surprise me if they got knocked out on Wednesday. They've been a team that has shown that they're resilient when they go through some tough times this year. They've done it before, and certainly they can do it again. And so we hope for nothing but the best from them.
Yeah, they don't have to get up at least at 6 in the morning.
No, that's those 9 a.m. games in the domes.
Can't even
imagine. They're brutal, and we've seen Mountlake Terrace struggle with that in the past. Even a few years ago when they were down at the Tacoma Dome, they had a 9 a.m. game, and hard to get yourself wide awake and ready to go. No matter what you're doing in life, but especially if you're out playing basketball.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and after that, then we have to start talking about spring sports.
Yeah, like we mentioned, it's right around the corner. We've got boys baseball, golf, soccer, and track coming up. Girls golf, softball, tennis, and track. So there will be plenty to discuss during the months of March, April, and May. And hopefully maybe even into June a little bit. And we're already starting to follow a few spring sports at the collegiate level. I did want to give a nice shout out to Emma Helm from Meadowdale. University of Washington, she's a true freshman there this year. She's on a softball team that's ranked number 1 in the nation right now, undefeated, and notice she even had an RBI over the weekend in a victory over Nebraska.
That's great, and we actually had Emma on the show last year,
I think
right?
we've had her on a couple times now, yeah. So Emma's a friend of the show, and who knows, the way that she's going right now. She's already won a state championship with Meadowdale. Wouldn't be bad if maybe, don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse too much, but who knows, maybe she's playing softball into June in Oklahoma City, and maybe they win a national title.
That would be so great. Okay, very good. Well, we will keep you informed as to what happens this week with Mountlake Terrace, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Go Hawks.